So the last and final step is leverage. Now, I want you to get comfortable with leverage because debt is great if it can be serviced, and it's also important to stress test the debt that you take on. Now, if leverage does get abused, then things can go wrong. And that we've seen, some of the biggest institutions over leverage and collapse. Just take a look at the Lehman Brothers, for instance. So getting this right is essential. But look, we can use leverage in many things in life. It's not just financial leverage that we can use. So, when it comes to leverage, let's hop into the whiteboard and I'll take you through a few examples. Income equals rate times time. Okay, so let's say you earned £20 per hour, and let's say you worked for 10 hours per day, which would equal to £200. Right now, what most people do to try and increase their income is, first and foremost, they try and increase their time. So generally they'll try and work more hours to increase their income. The second thing you can do is try and increase the rate. Okay, so either try and work more hours, or then you can try and increase your rate. However, it's not as easy to increase your rate depending on your circumstance. Okay, so looking at this, you probably think, how can you actually gain some sort of advantage? Now, if we take business owners, for instance, right, they will leverage their income through employees. So, their earnings will go up, and also they'll get back more time because, they got staff there that can, they can delegate and outsource different tasks to, which allows them to grow and also allows them to get more time. Now, investors do the exact same thing. Well, almost all high level performers will use leverage via a team or some sort of staff. Then you probably hear of other forms of leverage. So if we look at the OPM model, which stands for other people's money, which I know many of you probably would have already heard of, where we may, look for angel finance, where we look for an angel investor to come in. We use other people's money, so we use an investor's money to put into a deal to really amplify our income, and then we give them a good rate of return. But we can't forget OPW or OPT, which is other people's work or other people's time. These are other things that we also need to be mindful of when it comes to leverage, because we can usually, we can use these two to really amplify what it is we're doing. And then also OPK, which is other people's knowledge. This is another thing. This is how you really fast track different things. It's why we pay people for coaches or mentorship or whatever, because we want to use the other person's knowledge and leverage their experience to really fast track what it is we're doing, and also learn the best ways, because they generally found out the hard way and they got a lot of experience. Then we can look at our network and try and leverage our networks. Those connections are also very, very important. But I'm going to give you another example on leverage. The next example I'm going to give you is a house, and this is how you can use financial leverage on the most basic model there is, which is property. Okay, so let's just use the UK for example. So a first-time buyer in the UK can get a mortgage on a 5% deposit. Right now, of course, there's different criteria to this, but I'm just going to use, in general, 5% is what first-time buyers can get. So let's say this asset is worth £100,000. So we can put in £5,000 to this deal and now control this £100,000 asset, which has a great ratio of 20-1. So, as you can see, you can really utilize debt here and use leverage to try and control this asset for a very small amount of money. Then if we was looking at, a general investment property where we would put down, say, a 25% mortgage as a buy to let, which would then be £25,000, which is a 4-1 ratio. Again, using leverage can really amplify what it is you can do and amplify the outcome. So here we have a £100,000 asset, which we can control if we was a first-time buyer, £5,000, or if this was a second property or say a buy-to-let, and you just use the most basic way possible, put down a 25% deposit, being £25,000, we can control this entire asset at a 4-to-1 ratio. Now, of course, there's many ways to do this, and some of the ways that we discuss inside the 5D program, you can do this deal here for pretty much no money or very close to no money, or pull out most of your money, if not all of your money, out of this same deal and go again. But of course, there's different ways and means to do this. Now, to give you an insight on, how the super wealthy use financial leverage, right? So the global derivative market is worth over $2 quadrillion right now. That is a huge number and is very hard to actually get your head around. So let's take a look at some numbers in seconds, okay? So if we move this across, and let's put a quadrillion up here at the top, okay? Now, if we look at numbers in seconds, so if we look at a million seconds works out around 12 days, okay? Then a billion seconds works out at around 32 years. So as you can see, a million to a billion is already a huge difference, right? So when people talk about $1 million compared to $1 billion, we're talking about a massive difference between these two numbers, okay? Then if we look at a trillion, we're talking 32 years. So going from a million to a billion from 12 days to 32 years, then to look at a trillion at 32,000 years, these numbers are huge right now. To try and put a quadrillion even into perspective, right? A quadrillion is 1,000 trillion. So this is the sort of leverage that banks are using to amplify the outcome of their investments, right? So as you can see, there's many ways that you can do this, and why leverage is so important in not only the growth of individual investment portfolios, but the growth of global economy, okay? So we need to get comfortable with leverage. So, make sure that you have good risk management in place, and then leverage can serve you well. So remember, debt is good if it can be serviced. And, we can use debt to, buy real estate, businesses. You can use it to loan against your investment portfolio, which is also very tax efficient. But leverage can be your friend if you know how to treat it. So I hope you enjoyed the 7-step framework, and I hope to see you on one of our mastermind sessions soon.